thank you very much, Hannah, for making your way to the ACM today to provide us with this masterclass. We're all really looking forward to what you're going to present to our students today. Maybe we could start off by you giving us an overview of your career, some of the highlights that you've had over the years.
Sure thing. Thank you, ACM, for having me too. I've been here a couple of times. I've always had such a great time. The students are very enthusiastic, so I'm really happy to be here again, especially at this point, which is, you know, coming towards the end of the festival season. So I'm right in the middle of, you know, a hardcore summer. So it feels really appropriate to kind of be here and talk about the stuff I'm doing right now. I'm a keyboard player mainly. I do songwriting, producing, all kinds of other stuff too. I was born and raised in Berlin, Germany. And I started music really in high school because I went to an American school. We had American teachers, a great big band, jazz, all of that kind of stuff. And I had an amazing teacher who introduced me to, you know, gave me my first 4 jazz albums, Miles Coltrane, McCoy Tyner, and a Roy Hargrove album. And from then onwards, I was hooked. I was very lucky that a lot of my classmates were musicians too, or into music. So we had, you know, your usual crappy little high school bands. You think you're really good, but you're actually only playing loud, that kind of thing. And then the gigs were for our parents, who humored us. But it was really important to have that kind of community. And regardless of, you know, obviously whenever you're starting out, you're not going to be at a certain level. But we just had a lot of good times together. Decided I was going to get into jazz. That was my first love. And so came to the Royal Academy of Music and did the jazz piano performance course, which was amazing. Met some of the best musicians I've ever met in my life and some of the best musicians in the world, really. Then kind of it came to me graduating, and all of a sudden I had no gigs. You know, I was doing restaurant gigs and all of that for £30, £50, which was amazing back then because I needed to pay my rent and they were cash in hand gigs. So I didn't even think of it as a bad thing or a good thing. But on one day, one of my good friends, and I think someone who comes here a lot, to Bob Knight, who's a drummer and a fixer, and I went to college with, he called me up and said, I need you to learn loads of songs in the next 3 days because you're doing Charlotte Church. It's like, what? I had no idea. I had no idea about keyboards. I had no idea about anything, but he's a very good friend of mine, so I trusted him. And I was keys 2 on the gig, and the keys 1 player is another very good friend of mine, a keyboard player called Rob Taggart, who we all went to college with too. And so he programmed up my keyboards for me because I had no idea, and literally scored it out for me and made it really easy for me, really, my first intro into the pop world. And basically did these couple of shows with Charlotte. I think it was an MTV show. I don't even remember what the shows were. This was about 7, 8, 9 years ago. And realized that I actually really liked the discipline of pop rehearsals. Right. And, you know, the preciseness that you get off a pop gig where really every single fill is thought about, the sounds are discussed. It's so precise, and it really caters to my German/Indian nature. You know, I like everything to be, I'm very, very organized, and it really fit me. So after that, and realizing that I actually had a good time with it, the ball kind of started rolling and started working for different people. I did the Gnarls Barkley, the UK band. I worked for Am Fiddler. I worked for a dance band called Bugs in the Attic, which is where I really learned a lot about synthesis and analogs and all of that. And then slowly started getting into the pop scene, toured with Anastacia, did gigs with Jay Sean, Jason Derulo, Tayo Cruz. In 2010, I did Rihanna's tour. I got a call for her and was out on the road with her and her American band for a year. Came back. In between, I did a TV show too, show called Don't Forget the Lyrics. On Sky, yeah. On Sky, which was amazing, but ridiculously hard because I had to program 500 songs. So Rihanna in 2010, which was an amazing experience, more or less a world tour. Came back and have been with Jessie since 2011.